Hello guys, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm in the kitchen about to put me a pork roast on. And if you ever cooked a pork roast before, you know it's a pretty dense piece of meat. It's marble with plenty fat, which flavors the meat very well. And you can season it pretty much with 3 or 4 seasonings, or you can get a little bit extravagant according to your taste. But I'm gonna show you how I put mine together. Right here, let me get you guys set up so you can see what I'm doing. Right here, I have a 3 to 4 pound pork roast. And what I'm going to do, and it's been split down the center where it's kind of opens up, kind of butterfly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to season the inside here, and then I'm going to season the outside of it. And once we do that, we're going to put it in our Dutch oven and let it brown on all sides to get the somewhat of a crust on it. Now we're going to start off with a little and like I said, you season it according to your taste. Today I'm going to use some crushed red pepper, a few flakes of that. Not a lot because don't want it too spicy. A little garlic, about a tablespoon of garlic powder. And remember now, I'm doing all this on the inside. I haven't done my outside yet. About a teaspoon and a half, 2 teaspoons of sage. About a teaspoon and a half of cumin. And that's cumin, C-U-M-I-N, cumin. About a teaspoon of black pepper. And a teaspoon of salt. We don't want a whole lot of salt. Because remember now, this is pork. And oftentimes pork is cured with salt. Now we want to get our outside. And we got to do both sides. We're going to go back over it with the same seasonings. Our salt. And you want to make sure it's seasoned well. Black pepper. Sage. And to me, when you cook pork, sage is a must. Sage and pork goes very well together. A little garlic powder. Some ground cumin. And remember those red pepper flakes, according to your taste. Now what we want to do is flip this roast over on the fat side, on the bottom part, which is the fat side. See that big white cap of fat? That's going to help season your meat also. Now this side, you don't have to worry about too much seasoning. Just a little salt and a little pepper and whatever you may want to put on it. But that side, you don't need a whole lot due to the fact it's the fatty side with the cap on it, what they call the cap. A little garlic powder and a little cumin. All right. Now, let me get you guys turned this way to the oven. This is what I'm going to cook it in, my black Dutch oven. And we're going to put probably about maybe, I'll say anywhere from 5 to 7 tablespoons of olive oil in it. You don't need a lot due to the fact that roast is going to make quite a bit of oil itself. And we want to put that on high. We want to bring our roast over here. And we're going to put, I don't think that's quite hot enough yet. I should have had it on a few minutes earlier. But we're going to sear it on both. We're going to sear it on both sides, the top side and the bottom side, and the other 3 sides of it. The top, bottom, and around you know what I'm saying, the circumference of it. We want to sear all the sides. And once we sear it, what we want to do then, we're going to put a half a cup of water on it. And we're going to put 2 large onions in it, put our lid on it, and we're going to put it in the oven for the first hour. Now, after that first hour, I'm going to bring you guys back, and then we're going to take the lid off of it, and we're going to add carrots, potatoes, and celery to it. And it's going to cook then for another hour. So as of now, we're just waiting for our olive oil to get good and hot so we can go ahead and sear it and lock our flavors and juices in. But a pork roast isn't hard to cook. It isn't hard to cook. It's pretty simple. It's kind of lengthy. Oftentimes it takes a while, anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. You don't want to rush it. You don't want to rush it because I can tell you now, if you rush it, it's either going to be 2 ways. It's not going to be completely done in the center, dead center, or it's going to be tough. One or the other. So you don't want to rush it for sure. Just take your time and let it cook at its pace, which won't take too long. Okay, I think might be hot enough now to where we could go ahead and put this in. Let me put you guys back here on the oven. All right, should be able to see that good. And we're going to drop it in first with the top side down. And we want to get that searing going. And it's going to sear, like I said, on each side for about a good minute and a half. You want to get that somewhat of a brown caramelization on it. You don't want to get a real thick crust, just a brown caramelization on it. Oh yeah, looking good. Looking good. And just leave it there. Don't move it. Just leave it there. God, it smells great. It smells great. And like I said, I got my fire on high at the moment because like I said, I'm trying to get that brown caramelization on that outside crust of it. Oh yeah, now we're ready to flip it over to the fat side. There we go. Let me bring you guys a little closer so you can see exactly that crust I'm talking about. That's the crust that I'm speaking of. Right there. You see how it browned and it has that crust right there? That's what you're looking for. That's going to seal your juices in and keep your roast moist and tender as it bakes in the oven. And like I said, you want to do all 4 sides of it. You want to do the top, the bottom, and the circumference around all 3 sides of it. Just make sure it seals in good. And the best way to do this, like I said, is keep your fire on high. Don't walk away from the stove because it's not going to take but a minute to do this. All right. Okay, let's stand it up on the front side. There we go. It is coming along, guys. Now we got this side here we want to sear. And once we sear that side, it will be seared completely all over. And that will guarantee our juices being locked in. All right. And when we cook it, it's going to be cooked. It sounds kind of odd, but when you cook it, you want to cook it upside down. You want the lean side on the bottom, and you want that fatty cap I showed you on top. Due to the fact, when you put that fatty cap on top, that fat is going to cook and render, and as it renders down, it will constantly and repeatedly baste the roast. All right, guys. It's been an hour, about an hour and 10 minutes. I'm ready now to take it out of the oven. I'm going to take the top off of it. We're going to take a good look at it, and at that time, we're going to put our potatoes, carrots, and celery on it. So let me get it out the oven, and let's take a look at it. All right. I just got it out. Let me go close this oven door. And we're going to take a peep at it. Oh boy, and it looks good. Looks great. Let me bring you guys a little closer so you can have a better look at it. Now that's what it's looked like with an hour of cooking. It's been cooking for an hour, I'll say an hour, an hour and 10 minutes with just the onions. Now we're going to add our carrots, potatoes, and celery to it. And we're going to put it back in the oven uncooked. Because remember this cap of fat, see all that fat there? That cap of fat is going to continue to cook and render down and bathe our roast. It's going to help keep it moist. So we're going to go ahead now and get our vegetables and put in here. And that's going to be celery. And just put it around sporadically. It doesn't have to be no precise place or anything. Just you want it sporadically put around your roast. And we're going to add our potatoes. And if your roast doesn't produce a lot of liquid, you can add either some chicken broth or you can add another half a cup of water. If it doesn't have the amount of liquid that you would like on it. Say, for instance, if you're going to make a gravy, which I'm going to make a gravy on my roast. But if you don't have enough broth on it, you can always add broth, and you can go with chicken broth, or either you can add a cup of water, and the roast itself will flavor the water. All right. There we go. Those are our potatoes. I should have had these cut up. I thought actually I got busy doing something else. But I want them cut up in quarters. And like I said, we're going to put them all around the roast. I was saying, guys, that I was going to leave it uncovered, but I'm thinking I'm going to add a cup of water and cover it back up. Because at this point, it'll probably cook a little faster with the lid on it due to the fact it'll help steam it also. So I think I'm going to put our top back on it and put it back in the oven. When I put it back in the oven. So yeah, we're gonna add the top back. I've been saying we're gonna leave it off, but we're gonna add it back. And at this point now, I want to bump my oven up from 375 to 450 for the next hour. We're going to cook it at 450 for the next hour, and at that time, we're going to take another peep at it, and more than likely, it will be done. Okay, we're going to add another cup of water. And like I said, you can also add chicken broth if you don't want to add water. But we're going to add another cup of water. We're going to put our lid back on, and it's going back in the oven for another hour. But this time, guys, don't forget, turn your oven up to 450. From 375 to 450. And you're going to put it back in the oven. There you go. And then in one more hour, I'll bring you guys back. And at that time, we'll take it out. And more than likely, it will be done. If it's not, it's going to be very much on the tail end of being done. But I'll see you in an hour.